Alright guys, we've kind of done a couple videos. We're talking about range and talking about how to go ahead and implement that. And I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the series. We're going to go into how to actually apply some of those things, how to cut that angle, and how to utilize range to your advantage. So the first two lessons that we did on basic strategy, we're going to incorporate that now into a simple technique. Alright, so from here I am inside, if Red Jr. here extends out, alright, I'm inside punch range. From here, if he's going to try and throw a front kick from this range, he's not actually going to be able to get the snap that he needs because I'm inside that kick range. I'm in that punch range. So once again, like we talked about, we have that long range, mid range, and then the short range. So from this particular position, he could actually rain down decent punches and get good snaps at this particular range, but he'd be a little hard pressed to actually implement some kicks at this range. Not saying he couldn't do it, but he couldn't generate the same amount of force and snap as he could if I backed up just a hair, and now he can rain down some front kicks into the midsection or some round kicks into the legs, whatever the situation calls for. So we have that kick range, we have that punch range, we have those elbows and knees. Those are the different ranges that we're working with here, all the way up into grappling, which we would consider our perimeter, in which case that gets into another lesson. We'll do that later. So ideally what I want to do is I'm bringing my 4 assets to bear on him, and he's got his 4 assets to bear on me. Like we've talked about, I don't want to be in a 1-to-1 ratio. I want to be able to actually exploit different weaknesses, but in order to do that, I need to both close the distance and get offline. So I want to be able to attack a flank in one direction or another, and sometimes how we go about doing this is typically boxers or anybody who's done any kind of fighting, they're going to circle away from the strong hand. So I'm going to move away from that hand and he'll just continue to rotate with me. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll get him going and then I'll cut that angle. And you'll see that once I cut that angle, I am now on his flank. Alright? He's going to be hard pressed to get this leg and this arm going on me without changing his direction. So if we're sitting here and we're just rotating through, and then I just wait for that step and I cut that angle, now I'm set to be able to fire some of my close range weapons on him. Alright? So that's one manner in which you might learn to cut the angle to be able to exploit different weaknesses. Another way could be in a defensive type posture. So if I'm here, I come inside that punch range, we're in punch range here, and he goes to fire a jab, he's going to fire that jab, and I'm right in that perfect snap distance right here. So what I'm going to do is, if I just step, I don't even move my head or anything, if I just step 45, I'm out of the line. All I needed to do is, if he leaves this punch here, all I want to do is just step 45. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for shoulder movement more than anything, because the hands, you'll see, Red here has got his hands moving and stuff like that, and that's so that he doesn't telegraph any movements like sitting here and then he just goes. He's going to move around a little bit so that nothing is telegraphed, and then he'll just snap a jab. So once we're in here, all I'm waiting for is I'm looking for shoulder movement, and then I'm looking to just get offline. One of the other things I can do is I can use my lead hand to guide that punch into my shoulder. Now I don't really care if I make contact with my shoulder. There are techniques where you can actually break the guy's wrist or hand or whatever. I'm not getting into all that. The point is that I don't want that punch inadvertently, as I'm coming in and closing that distance, I don't want to eat that punch on the way in. So as I'm setting up right here, he goes to fire that jab. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to close that distance and get offline. So I will actually take my lead hand, since that is the first part of my body, that is my first outer defense that will come into contact, I'm looking to just redirect to the outside while I close that distance inside. So there's a number of drills. Some people will teach, okay, well if he fires the right hand, you go this way, and if he fires the left hand, you go this way. Look, it doesn't matter, because one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to end up on the inside, or I'm going to end up on the outside. I don't really care. In either case, I'll be attacking his flank. At very least, I'll be closing that distance and getting inside of his perimeter. So as we're set up here, he fires across. So I can come here, now I'm on that outside. Outside arm, outside leg, no longer a threat. He still has this asset and this one potentially available, but from here I can just brush and I can fire a hook on him. By the same token, if he fires that left, I come off the same way. From here, I've still closed that distance. He now has this asset and this asset. This one is loaded, but now I'm inside the range. He can still hit me, but he's not going to be able to generate that snap and that force from this range without redirecting his body. Keep in mind that none of this is static. As we're moving around and he fires across, as he fires across, I'm coming in, I'm immediately moving in on him. Now I'm inside the perimeter, I can get that clinch and I can throw. If he fires that jab, the same thing happens. I'm redirecting here, I'm getting inside, I'm closing up that space, now I can throw him down. Whatever the situation calls for. I can't really pivot really well on my right leg yet, but there are manners in which I can go to the outside in this direction. So if he throws a jab, I can just step this way. If he throws that cross, I can step this way and end up on the outside there. So it's not just simply one direction. I can go in either direction. The point being is that off of a defensive stance, I can still cut the angle and fire back immediately with an offensive position. So one more time, we're sitting here, we're circling, all right? As we're going, I go and cut that angle and I get that flank. From here, I can go into the ribs, into the chin. If we're here and he goes to throw a jab, I'm looking to cut that angle and get offline and close that distance. We're here, we're circling, we're moving around. I'm cutting, he's redirecting. I cut back, he goes and fires across. I'm looking to cut that angle, get inside. From here, I can get the clinch and throw him down. All right? So you guys keep that in mind. There's more going on than just the mental aspect of cutting the angle. You have to implement the other tools in as well. But it's an all-encompassing view of how I can exploit my assets in the best manner while degrading his and still be able to stay within my range, whether I come inside of the range because it's safer for me or whether I step outside of his range. In either case, it's about getting the best position I can to be able to utilize my assets. So you guys train hard.